Hi everyone, my name is Madison Johnson. I'm a 23-year-old makeup artist from Dallas, Texas, and today I'm going to teach you how to achieve this everyday makeup look. It's super easy, super simple, and super cute, and it doesn't take long, especially when you're rushing in the morning to get to work, so stay tuned, and I can't wait to see how yours turns out. So the first step is to prime the skin. Your primer is blue and it's also by e.l.f. Mine is as well, but it's a poreless primer. So I'm going to show you how to apply it. You don't need that much. You get like a dime size amount on your fingertip. This is smaller than a dime, but this much. Mine looks a little bit different. And you're going to place it on your skin. With primer, I like to make sure that it's evenly blended on my face, on all parts of my face. I also like to make sure it's dry. So if you have a mini fan, you can fan your face. I just let it air dry, but I do like to make sure the primer is set into my skin. So yeah, that is step one. The next step is foundation. So I believe you all also have the Fit Me foundation. You're going to make sure you grab your shade. If it's a little bit lighter or darker, that's okay. I'll show you how to fix that later. And you want to grab the flat brush. I'll add your brush probably in this little area right here, the brush that you should be using, but it should be a flat brush. You're just going to grab a little bit of foundation on the brush because a little bit truly does go a long way, and you're going to apply it to your skin evenly. So on each side, the same amount. I apply a little bit on my nose, a little bit on my forehead, and a little bit on my chin area. And I kind of just spread it out on my face. This is just applying the makeup on your skin. You're gonna go back through and blend it. I don't know if you can tell, but this shade is a little bit orangey on my skin. I am a little bit lighter in the wintertime, so the color kind of changes, but that's okay because I'm gonna show you how to fix it. After I apply it to my skin, it looks a little bit like this. Sometimes the foundation can dry a little bit fast. So after I apply it to my skin, I like to spray it with a little bit of setting spray. My setting spray looks a little bit different than yours, but your setting spray is the same brand as the primer that you used. Sometimes it's good to go with the same brand because the quality will be the same, but I like to use my own personal preference for setting sprays. I have combination skin, but sometimes I get really oily around the bridge of my face. Because my skin is combination, I like to use a mattifying setting spray, but if you have dry skin, you want to use a hydrating setting spray. So after your makeup looks like this, you can go ahead and spray it a little bit, just 2 or 3, and that brings the moisture back to your foundation. And then after this, we're going to blend it in. After this, now that we've sprayed our face, we're going to blend the makeup in. This is the brush that I'm using. I recently just used it. It's a little dirty, but I'll show your brush again right here that you should use to be blending your foundation. When you're blending your foundation, you're just going to blend in a tapping motion. So you should just be tapping it into your skin and spreading it ever so slightly. You're not dragging it on your face. You're not dragging the makeup, but you're patting it. Once you have the makeup applied evenly to your skin, the next step is concealer. Your concealer looks a little bit different than mine, but you're going to go about a shade or 2 lighter than your foundation shade. So grab your concealer. I'll put what your concealer looks like right here, and you're gonna get a blending brush. Like I said, your brush looks a little different than mine. I'll put your brush right here. Feel free to pause at any point, but I'm gonna show you how to apply the concealer. You're going to grab your flat brush again that you applied the foundation with. Grab that flat brush and grab a little bit of the concealer on the flat brush. Once you have the concealer on the flat brush, you're going to apply it under your eyes. like this. You're going in an upward motion because we're always going to blend in an upward motion because you don't want to ever drag your face down by blending downwards. So we're going to apply it in an upward motion like this. So the concealer should be placed, kind of looks like a half, like maybe a banana, or a half like upside down moon. So that's how it should be applied under your eyes. And you're just going to place it like that and leave it. You're going to apply the concealer also on your forehead in kind of an upside down triangle shape right here. Then down the nose bridge like this, a little bit under the nose, above the upper lip, and a small amount on the chin. That's it. That's all you need. I like to spray my face after I apply liquid products. I will give myself 1 or 2 spritz. That step is totally optional. The next step is blending. So when you're blending, just like your foundation, you're going to tap it into the skin. You should never be dragging it, but we're just tapping. Down the nose bridge. A tapping motion. I like to blend under my eyes last because the more it sets, the more coverage it'll be. And I like to have the most coverage under my eyes. We're gonna blend in an upward motion under the eyes. Once you finish, you should have a base that looks a little bit like this. Awesome. So the next step is very important. We're going to begin with our powder products. So what I like to do after I've applied my concealer, I go back under my eyes because sometimes there is creasing, and I just touch it up to make sure I remove any kind of creases. You're going to grab your triangle makeup pad. I think yours might be purple. I'll put it right here. And then you also have powder. It looks a little bit like this, and it should be the Revolution powder. This is the first powder that you're applying. There are 2 powders. You're gonna grab that makeup pad, dab it onto here, dab off the excess right there, and then you're going immediately under your eyes. And you're pressing it into the skin. We want it to be very seamless, so we're pressing it completely into the skin until it disappears and it's just a flawless finish. Same thing on the other side, pressing it into the skin under the eyes. I like to use a dabbing motion. If you'd like to literally press, that's fine too, as long as it's fully blended in. You're going to do this step in every area that you applied the concealer. Once you've completed that step, we're going to go in with the second powder. This is the one I have, but the one you have, I think, is the Airspun Setting Spot powder. So I'll put it right here, a picture of it. And same steps, you're gonna dab that same triangle pad. And this time, instead of pressing it into the skin, we're just applying it on top and letting it sit. This is called baking. And this is just an extra step to ensure your makeup stays on all day. I like to apply this powder right here on my smile lines. If you tend to have creasing right here, apply a little bit of extra powder in those areas. The nose bridge and the forehead. And we're just going to let it sit. The next step is applying the bronzer. Some people like to contour, but remember, we're doing an everyday makeup look, so I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that while still giving that bronzy effect on your face. On your makeup palette, it should be something like this. You're going to go into a shade darker than your foundation shade. So I go into this shade right here and a shade a little bit darker. We're going to be applying this. The best way to describe it is a 3. So I'm going to show you now. Right here on the forehead, on the cheek, right under the cheekbone, and then right here under the chin. So it's kind of like a 3 shape. You're going to do the same thing on both sides. Like this. So I like to go in at the end and apply a little bit more by my cheekbone in an upward motion, of course, always an upward motion, and just blend that in. The brush that you're going to be using, I'm going to put it right here. After you complete this step, we're going to add a little bit to the nose to kind of slim the nose down. This step is completely optional. I just like to contour my nose to give it a snatched effect. This time, you're only going to go into the powder that's a shade darker, only 1 shade darker. You don't have to mix it with 2 shades darker, just 1 shade darker. And we're going to go starting at the brow bone right here, blending downwards. This is the only time we'll blend down on the sides of the nose. Just a little bit. Like I said, this step is completely optional. It's just something that I like to do. Going back in with that same powder, the second powder that we used, we're going to apply a little bit around that bronzer we just applied. So right here, and we're gonna draw like 2 lines, kind of 2 lines with the powder puff. I know this step can be a little bit confusing, so I'll do it one more time. We're kind of drawing a line on the side where we applied it. And that is what's going to give it that snatched effect. While we're at this step, we can also do the same thing on our cheeks. So where you applied that bronzer, you're going to draw a line right there. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. You've really completed all of your powder steps, and now we're going to move to blush and brows. For blush, I like to go in with the same palette and get a shade that's a little red orangey shade. And I apply just a little bit to my cheeks and a little to my nose and chin. That's it. For brows, this is probably the most difficult part, so I'll go slow. I'll show you the brushes to use right here. I brush up my brows with my spoolie brush. I brush up my brows so they should look like this. I'm going to apply the color to my brows. I like to start on the bottom row, and we're just doing hair-like strokes in the shape of our brow, just filling them in, going upwards in the front area. If you have thicker brows, you can use a lighter hand. If you have lighter brows, you can use a heavier hand. Kind of give me a shape like this that I like. I'll move on to the next one. The same thing on this side. By the end, your brows should look like they're filled in. After you filled in the brows, we're going to brush the front a little bit to blend it so there are no harsh lines. They should look a little bit like this. Now I'm going to show you how to clean it up with the same concealer you used under your eyes. You're going to grab a little bit of concealer on the flat brush, and we're going to go under the brows. Just drawing a line under the brows in the shape of your brow. If you have more straight brows and you want an arch, be sure to go up on the arch. Like that. We're going to do the same thing on the top, following our natural brow shape. Once you finish, it should look something like this. I kind of did the next step off camera because my phone died, but you're going to blend that concealer around your eyebrows. You're going to just blend it. And it should look like this once you finish. And then it's really coming together. We're almost done, just a few more steps. Going back in with the same brush that you used on the nose contour part, I get a shade a little bit darker than my foundation shade, and I dab it off, the excess, and I just pat a little bit on my eyelid. Like this. So now we're going to remove all of the powder we placed on our face. Your makeup should look something like this. And because some of the color was lost because of the powder, we're about to add that back in. So we're going to grab the brush that you use for your blush and your bronzer and apply just a little bit more on your cheeks. You're also going to apply a little bit around your nose and a little bit around your forehead and chin area. The next step you're going to do is grab a big fluffy brush and just kind of blend all of that together that you've done. Blend it all together. It should look a little bit like this once you finish. And the last step is 100% completely optional, but I like to apply a little bit of mascara on my bottom lashes. Like this. And you can also apply a little bit of gloss to your lips. I'm going to do a few finishing touches on my face, and I'm going to come back at the end. I'll show you this step. I cannot remember if you have highlighter, but if you do, I'll put a picture of it right here. If not, this step is completely optional, but I get a highlighter. I have this palette with it's like some shiny colors in there, and I apply a little bit on my nose, just a dab, and then on the nose bridge, just a little bit of highlighter above the lip and in the inner corners of my eyes. And on my brow bone right here, just to make it pop a little bit more. And the final step is setting spray. So you're going to grab the setting spray. And I think that's when you should put the most, and then you're gonna see it's gonna kind of bring back the moisture to your skin. You're going to let it dry, and this is the finished product. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I'm so excited for you all on your makeup journey. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.